Welcome to this explainer of Chapter 8 from Efficient by Design. Look, if you're a leader or a management student, you already know that making decisions is basically your entire job description, right? But what happens when the sheer volume of those choices literally paralyzes your operations? Well, today, we're diving into structuring complex choices. We're going to unpack the behavioral tools developed by Dr. Joseph Cecchiodolo, which are specifically designed to help you beat decision fatigue and unlock some truly high-performance operations.
Okay, here's our roadmap for tackling that awful productivity tax of inefficient systems. We'll diagnose the choice overload problem, look at elimination by aspects, compensatory strategies, and collaborative filtering, and then wrap up with a real-world case study, hiring Teresa. Starting things off with Section 1, the choice overload problem, let's see exactly why leaders are constantly getting paralyzed by having way too many daily options. Now, the famous JAM study perfectly illustrates this. You've probably heard of it. Researchers set up a grocery store display with either 24 varieties of jam or just 6. And while logic tells us that having more options should lead to more sales, reality showed the exact opposite. Sure, the massive 24 jam display got a lot of attention, but it yielded far fewer actual purchases. Why? Because the brain simply exhausts its cognitive bandwidth trying to compare every single one of them. This leads us to choice overload. It's basically a cognitive paralysis that kicks in when the sheer volume of options exhausts the brain's ability to evaluate them. The crucial takeaway here is that when your employees or your customers face too many unstructured options, whether they're looking at 50 resumes or picking software vendors, they just default to mental shortcuts. They grab the familiar brand, they pick whatever's in the middle, or they just abandon the decision altogether. Without a deliberate structure, you're relying on gut instinct in situations where you absolutely need careful analysis. Moving right along to Section 2, elimination by aspects. Let's explore our very first structural tool for cutting through all that noise. So, elimination by aspects, or EBA, is all about setting a strict minimum threshold for key attributes, and then instantly eliminating any option that fails it. There are absolutely no trade-offs here. If an option misses the cut, it's just gone. This is a fantastic tool because it leverages your fast, intuitive System 1 brain to quickly prune down a massive list, saving you from the exhausting mental gymnastics of weighing the pros and cons of every single choice. Here's how you can shrink a massive pool of, say, 30 plausible choices down to just 3 top contenders in minutes. First, define your absolute non-negotiables. Like if you're buying software, maybe it literally must cost under $500 and it has to integrate with your current systems. Second, apply those filters sequentially. Third, and this is the fun part, discard the failures instantly. Finally, evaluate the small remaining list. It's a real game changer because it delivers good enough decisions quickly without burning out your team. Next up, Section 3, compensatory strategies. This is where we shift gears to deliberate evaluation for those really high-stakes decisions once your option pool is manageable. Okay, so once you actually have a small list of viable options, your slow, analytical System 2 brain needs to step in. A compensatory strategy functions like a mental spreadsheet. You're evaluating options by assigning weights to specific attributes and calculating an overall score. What's brilliant about this is that it allows an option's strengths in one area to totally offset or compensate for its weaknesses in another. By visualizing your core priorities with distinct weights, like deciding that price is 40% of the decision, while quality and delivery sit at 30% each, you actively prevent emotional biases. Our intuitive System 1 loves shiny objects, right? It loves familiar names. But a compensatory rubric forces you to look at the total value. It guarantees you pick the most valuable option for your specific needs, not just the cheapest or the one that feels the safest. Let's head into Section 4, collaborative filtering. Because what happens when your options are practically infinite? Well, collaborative filtering is all about outsourcing that cognitive load. Instead of forcing one person to evaluate absolutely everything, this system uses the aggregated past behavior of similar users to just recommend the best option. It's literally the exact same engine behind the personalized recommendations you see on streaming platforms. It pushes the best answers right to the top, automatically, zero mental math required on your end.
As Dr. Cacciatolo points out, it's all about borrowing the wisdom of the crowd. If people like you bought item X after buying items A and B, there's a huge chance you're going to like X too. And in a business setting, this could look like an IT help desk using a simple thumbs up rating to find the perfect knowledge base article out of thousands. You don't need some massive complex infrastructure for this. You just need to capture one low friction signal at the exact moment of success.
All right, let's put this into practice with Section 5, our case study on hiring Teresa. Let's see a real-world application of all this. Here's the scenario. Dr. Cacciatolo and his partner needed to replace a highly capable store manager who oversaw 3 different locations for their pack and ship franchise. They put out an ad and boom, they quickly had a stack of 30 resumes. Every single candidate had strengths, but obviously no one was perfect. Now, when you're replacing a superstar, your gut instinct naturally gravitates toward the person who looks the most like a traditional industry veteran, right? And that's exactly what happened. They had a 6-year UPS veteran who felt super familiar and safe as the intuitive choice. But then they used a compensatory strategy, and it uncovered Teresa. Teresa was a restaurant manager with literally 0 shipping background, but she had incredible management skills. If they had just relied on their fast, intuitive System 1 brain, they absolutely would have hired the veteran just because he spoke the industry language. But they needed to force themselves to look at the whole picture. And this table proves exactly why Teresa won the math. They assigned weights to what actually mattered most for the role. Multi-location management was 30%, team leadership was 25%, managing an hourly workforce was 20%, pack and ship experience, only 10%. Teresa scored a perfect 5 in all those heavy-hitting leadership categories. Her massive strengths easily compensated for her lack of technical shipping knowledge, which, by the way, is highly teachable. The veteran ended up ranking 3rd. They hired Teresa, and within months, their revenue went up and turnover completely dropped.
Finally, Section 6, Mastering Complex Choices. Let's recap how you can reclaim your time and operational efficiency.
By structuring choices intentionally, you completely remove the cognitive burden from your exhausted team, and you embed intelligence right into the decision environment itself. Remember the toolkit. Use elimination by aspects for sequential pruning when your options are vast. Step 2, use compensatory strategies for weighted scoring when the stakes are really high and your options are narrowed down. And finally, use collaborative filtering to leverage crowd wisdom when your choices are basically infinite. The truth is, good people make mistakes when the cockpit is poorly designed. So fix the cockpit and watch your team absolutely soar. You can reach out directly to Dr. Cacciatolo at joe@coxatolo.com or visit his LinkedIn to view the full companion series. I'll leave you with this. If the environments we build dictate the quality of our choices, is it possible that your last bad business decision wasn't actually a failure of leadership, but simply a failure of design?